Assalamu guys, Irfan back again with another video, and this is a third video on the topic of searchable drop-down lists in Microsoft Excel. We have already done 2 videos on this topic, and this is going to be a third one. So we are basically showing you a third different method of doing the same, creating a searchable drop-down. The previous video that we did just before this one, what we did was we used a workbook similar to this that had 2 sheets in it. One was called name of US presidents and the other one was called data entry. So you would be doing a data entry here, and this is where you will have a drop down, and if you type any letter here, it would search through this and only show you names that contain that letter. So in that video, say for example you had typed J, it would pick up any name that has the letter J in it. So it would pick up Andrew Jackson, it would pick up Andrew Johnson because they have the letter J in it. It would pick up Benjamin Harrison because this name has the letter J in Benjamin, and then it would pick up Donald J. Trump because you have a J here. Now in this video, what we are doing is we are going to be setting it up so when you type anything here, say for example you type GEO, now this combination GEO needs to be in the beginning of the name. So it needs to start with GEO. So GEO would be these 3 names here: George Bush, George W. Bush, and George Washington. Now if instead of GEO, if you only had GE, that would be George Bush, George W. Bush, George Washington, and Gerald Ford, because these 4 names start with the letters GE. Okay, so whatever we type here in this sheet here, we will be looking up in the list of names here, and any name that starts with those characters in that particular order, that will show up. So let's get started. We'll be using 4 helper columns like we had done in the previous video. Excuse me. So first what we need to do is we need to look up how many characters we have over here. So in this case we have 2. If this was GEO, it would be 3 characters. Okay, so depending on how many characters it is, we need to pick up those many characters from the beginning. So we'll use the left function, left text, from which you're actually grabbing these characters. That would be this cell here, comma, number of characters. Number of characters would be the length of whatever you have here. Okay, so in this case it would be 3 characters. If we had typed GE, it would have been 2 characters. So close bracket, the first close bracket is for the length function, and the second close bracket is for the left function, enter. So now because it said GEO, that's 3 characters long, it's grabbing the first 3. Okay, and if I were to just move by, see over here when the cursor is a fat plus sign, as I move closer to the cell, it changes into a skinny plus, and if once it's there, I double click on it, it copies the formula down. So let's assume I have copied the formula down here. Now you see these are blanks. Why are they blanks? Because you see over here is data entry C4, which is this cell here. Now when I come here, we are looking at A11, which is this. So this needs to move down, but this has also moved down. So what we need to do is we need to lock so this does not move down, and the way you do that is use the $ in the cell reference. So you click in the middle of that middle of C4, hit F4, it puts a $ symbol in front of the C and a $ symbol in front of the 4, so it locks that cell, enter. Now if you were to copy this down, now you see that C4 remains as C4. Okay, now what we need to do is if these characters that are pulled off are equal to what's here, then put a 1, otherwise put a 0. So what we'll do is we'll wrap this up in an if statement. If this is equal to this cell here. Once again, F4 to lock it. Then put a 1, else put a 0, close bracket, enter. Okay, and now I'm going to push this formula all the way down. So you see how only George Bush, George W. Bush, and George Washington have ones in front of them. All the other names have zeros. Now, if this was GE, okay, then you would have George Bush has a 1, George W. Bush has a 1, George Washington and Gerald Ford, they have ones in front of them. Okay, now, so we've done with our first helper column. Now, the second helper column, we're going to add these up only and put the sum here only if this value is not a 0. So in the first, so let's do that. If I were to do this, what that does is, that means sum everything between B10 and B10. So that doesn't make any sense. And if I were to copy this down, it would say B11 to B11. So that is not making any sense. So what I need to do is, I need to expand this range. So as you come down, this range expands. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to lock the first range. Okay. And now if I push this formula down, now you see how this is B10 to B11, B10 to B12, B10 to B13, B10 to B14. See how this range is expanding? Okay. So what we're going to do is only do this if this value is not a 0. So I'm going to put if B10 is not 0, then do the sum, otherwise just put a 0. And now if I'm going to copy it down and stop here, then I see how over here is adding all these values up. So this, if on the 1 gives you a 1 here, everything else, because these are zeros, it's still giving you a 0. So this gives a 1, 0 plus 1, then 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, and then it doesn't stay 4, and over here, because we put this condition, it puts a 0. Otherwise, you'll see if you do not have that condition, you'll see this 4 going all the way down. Okay, so we have done with our second column, second helper column. Now we need to see what row number this is. Okay, now, well, what entry number basically, not row number, but entry number. So if we were to, we could basically manually type this in, but that would get very tedious if we had a long list of names. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll use the row function, hit enter. This function, row, close, open bracket, close bracket, this basically returns the row number. So in this case, this is row number 10. Okay, so if I want to make this number 1, I just need to subtract 9 from this, and it becomes a 1. And I just copy and push this down, and see how it gives you, this is row first entry, second entry, third entry, and so on and so forth. Okay, now we've done with the third helper column. Now what we need to do is, we need to grab names from here wherever, you know, this is 1 and this is 1. So let me just give it a color. That's your first entry, because these are all zeros, so we got to match this. If this is equal to this, then pick the name up. So this would be your second entry. Okay, this is your third entry. So you see, that's what we want to do. We want to match this with this and then grab the names. And since we're doing a lookup to the left, VLOOKUP would not work, okay, because VLOOKUP only looks up to the right. So what we'll do is we'll use an index and match combination. There is a video that's already made on how to do that. I'll put a link down in the description. So let's carry on. So we'll use index. Now it's saying what array, okay, that you want to grab. So that would be from here all the way down to the end, okay. And what I want to do is I want to lock this so that when I copy this from the down, this doesn't creep forward. So highlight it, F4, it put dollar symbols in front of them, okay. So that's your array. Now what we're going to do is we could use a match function, and we are going to match this letter, this number with with the values in this column here, and wherever it finds a match, grab this name. So D10 comma is going to find in this cell here, these cells here, and again I need to lock this, okay, hitting F4, put it a dollar sign. Now I want to have an exact match. It says match type. I want an exact match, so I put a 0. I put a close bracket. This first close bracket is for this bracket we open for the match, and we need to close another bracket for the index. Enter. Okay, so this, it grabbed join push. Now I just double click and it's set it down. Let's highlight this also. Let's split the screen. All right. Now everywhere else it gave you an error function. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in an if error. So if there is no error, give you this value. If there is an error, value if error, just say error, close bracket. Okay, and then since I made a change in this cell here, I just double click and send it down, and now you see how these all have it says error instead of just the error symbol. So we're done with this sheet here so far. Now the drop down that we're going to be creating is going to be using this column here, okay, and we'll grab names, all the names till it finds error. Okay, so let's go to here, and this is where we'll be creating a drop down. Now we'll be using the offset function. Now the way offset works is, let me just show you here. In fact, let me just open up the sheet and let's do it here. Okay, so supposing that's your reference cell, and you want to go down one cell, across one cell, and you want to grab whatever's here. Okay, so the way you do that is offset reference, where you want to start. We're starting here at B3, comma, number of rows to go down, it's 1 because we're coming down 1. Number of columns to go across, we're going across 1 column, 1. Height and width, so this is only one cell, so just 1 height and 1 width, close bracket. Okay, so basically what you're doing is, in reference to this, you're manually creating a range. Now if this was supposed to have a 1 here, as soon as I hit enter, this would become a 1, because what it's doing is it starts here, goes down one row, goes across 1 column, and then grabs 1 cell, because the width, height and the width is 1, and that it gives you here. Okay, so we're going to be using the same the offset function to create the drop down. Okay, So we'll put my cursor here, go to data and data validation. Validation criteria, any value? No, we want a list. Okay, it's going to be offset. Okay, now where is it offsetting from? The first cell is going to be this cell here, which is E10. Okay, now how many rows down you want to come? 0. How many columns across you want to go? 0. So I've just put commas, same thing. And now what is the height of what you're getting? That would be as many entries you have which are not error. Okay, so we'll just use counters. Okay, and we'll come all the way down. Comma, not equal to error. Okay, and -1, so it doesn't grab a blank. And I also uncheck where it says error. Okay, now you see it should give me the 4 names: George Bush, George W. Bush, George Washington, and Gerald Ford. Now, if this was GEO, now it will only give me George Bush, George W. Bush, and George Washington. All right. So that's how you would create a drop down which looks at the beginning of the name. It needs to match the whole name. Now, if I were to put GEOR, now let's see what name it gives: Bush, W. Bush, and George Washington. Okay. Now, if I would say GORG, again, GORGE space W is W. Bush and Washington. If I say WA, then it's only George Washington. So because what you're doing is, as you keep entering the letters here, you're basically narrowing down the choices that you have. If you go here, the list keeps getting narrowed. Now, if I were to delete the A and go back to this here, now you see the choices expanded to have 2 names. Now, if you take out the W and you just have George, now you will have George Bush, George W. Bush, and George Washington. So that's how, whatever you type here, if you were to play D, just type D and pull it down, say Donald J. Trump, and Dwight D. Eisenhower, because both names start with D. Right? So that's how you create drop-down list, searchable drop-down list in Microsoft Excel, where you can search the beginning characters. Okay, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please kindly give it a thumbs up, and if you have any comments, any feedback, just put it in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you will receive notifications when new videos are uploaded. Thank you.